I think it's time to do a correct overview on Tuner Studio. So what I'm going to do today is a screen record for you guys, and we're going to go over the basics of Tuner Studio, like how to get your car running from scratch and some of the important areas that you're going to need to look at. Now, I've done a video like this before, but I didn't do a screen record, and a lot of you said it was hard to see. So we're going to try to make this thing look a little bit better this time. I'm going to go through some stuff that I've noticed over the months of owning this that are important and things that you can do to help get your car to idle a little better and also make it safe. Now there again, guys, this is not a full tutorial. This is an overview. But if you've never used Tuner Studio before, I think this is going to help you out. This will also work for MEGASQUIRT and MICROSQUIRT. I will tell you guys this though, one little caveat. Some of the things that you're going to see me doing, you're not going to have available to you until you upgrade Tuner Studio. I would advise you to go ahead and upgrade Tuner Studio if you can, because it does unlock a lot of really cool features that'll help you out. For instance, auto tune. All right, guys, let's go ahead, get to this. All right, guys, welcome to Tuner Studio. So here we are. We're basically just going to go over a few things to help you guys out if you are just getting started. So this is basically what you're going to be looking like whenever you get Tuner Studio and you get it all hooked up and everything. But once you upgrade, you can really customize and you can do stuff like this right here. So for right now, though, we're going to use the basic setup because this is what you guys are probably going to see. So once you get your MEGASQUIRT hooked up, you're going to want to know how to go about tuning the car initially. Well, to start with, you're probably not going to be doing any tuning per se, but you're going to want to come up here and adjust some settings to make sure that your injectors match and your engine size. All right, so click right here and then go to engine and sequential settings. Once you do that, you're going to want to click down here on required fuel. So click that. Now this is where you need to make sure you put your engine displacement in correct. So this car is still just a 302. If you had a 306, 331, 351, something like that, you'd put it right here. Number of cylinders, make sure that's correct. Now this is in pounds. You can change it to cc, but this is in pounds, and most of us understand pounds more than we do cc. So this is your injector size. Mine are 60s, so enter that information in. If yours are 40s or 30s or whatever, enter that. Air fuel ratio, you're going to want that at 14.7. Click OK. Now what that does is goes ahead and calculates this down here for you. So now your engine size is calculated in cc's for you, and your injector size automatically calculates to 630, which is also correct from my setup. Up here, I'm going to be running speed density, which I figure most of you guys will be too. You can change it to mass air if that's what you're tuning for, but we're tuning for speed density here. Anyway, guys, go ahead, check all that out, make sure it's good. Click burn. You're going to click burn on everything you do. Any change you make, you got to click burn before you close out. Okay, one of the next things you're going to do is go over here to general settings and just kind of look through everything, make sure it's good. I would suggest you go down here though and change your tables to 16 by 16. Otherwise, you're not going to have as much resolution. So that's up to you. You can go 12 by 12. I go 16 by 16, and that is only on your VE table, so your fueling tables down here. You're also going to want to come over here and make sure that this is selected speed density. And right here, if you have an air fuel gauge, which I would hope you do, you want to include target AFR. So you're going to want to make sure you click that. What that's going to do is take the reading from your wideband and make it work for you. So you're going to leave that at 14.7 and speed density. Okay, so everything's good there. So one other thing that you're going to need to do before you really get started is calibrate your air fuel gauge or your wideband. So come over here to tools, go down to calibrate AFR table, and what you're going to do here is look through these list of options and pick the sensor you have. I have the Innovate, so mine would be this. So pick that sensor, right to controller. So make sure that your air fuel ratio over here is matching what you see on your gauge in your car. There are some ways to change this stuff, like custom inputs, but I'm not going to get into that today. But that's how you set up your wideband to match. The very next thing that you're probably going to want to do is check and make sure that your TPS is calculated correctly. So click Tools, drop down to Calibrate TPS. So with the pedal in the resting position, click Get Current, and then press the throttle and hold it all the way down to the floor, and then click Current down here. Click Accept. Okay. So I just want to go over a few things because a lot of you guys are going to have different VE table numbers. I do want to show you this though. these are your VE tables right here. So all this stuff is your fueling numbers. These are not percentages, they are just numbers. They're just a reference number, so don't get caught up in that. These things can go up into the 2s and 300s sometimes, so don't get caught up in that number. Yours may look a little different than mine. That's perfectly fine. Please do not try to use or copy any of these numbers on your car because you risk blowing it up, so don't do that. Guys, don't get into the throttle, don't stab it, don't try to drive it yet, any of that, because you still have to set your timing. So for right now, we just need to get the car to idle on its own so that we can set the timing. So go ahead, start your car up, and it's probably going to idle somewhere in an area of about like that, and you're going to see it bouncing around. So what you're going to want to do is start lowering these numbers or raising these numbers to either richen or lean out the car. So let's say your car is running really rich on your AFR gauge and it's idling somewhere in this area. What you can do is pull all of these right here that it's idling in, and then come up here, go to your multiplier, which is the little X right here, and then click like 0.90. Watch these numbers over here whenever I click OK. It's going to lower these numbers. There you go. And what that's going to do is lean the car out. If you needed to richen the car up, what you're going to want to do is 1.01 or 1.08. 1.1 is going to be 10%, so that's going to be a lot. But anyway, guys, that's how you do that. So you're going to play around with these numbers until you get your car to idle correctly. Also, I'll go ahead and give you a quick tip. If your car is idling, say in this area right here, in this cell, up and down, what you're going to want to do is add a little bit of fuel, a couple numbers on this side to the left. You're going to want to add some numbers. And on this side, you're going to want to take away a couple numbers. Mine idles here, so if it's idling in the 27 cell, if the car idles down into this cell, then the 29 is actually more fuel. So what that's going to do is idle the car up ever so slightly and try to push it back into this cell. Now, if the car starts to raise its idle, what it's going to do is cut a little bit of fuel and force it back this way. I call that locking in your idle and tuning your idle. That's what that does. And once you initially get your idle set correctly where it'll at least idle on its own somewhat, come over here. So you're going to want to go to ignition settings and ignition options wheel decoder. So click that. Now this is very important. What you're going to want to do is come over here with your car idling. You can leave it on, that's fine. Click fix timing. And this number is now available to you. Watch it change right here, guys. See how it blacks it out? Now watch. Boom. This number shows up. So this number right here that I highlighted, what that number is only a reference number. Please do not get caught up on this number. Choose whatever number you like, somewhere between, I would say, 10 degrees to 20 degrees. Just pick a number in there somewhere, type it in right here, and then what you're going to do is go under the hood of your car with your timing light and make your harmonic balancer mark match this number. So whatever number you added, if you change this number to 10 like that, then you're going to have to go underneath the hood of your car and make sure that it matches 10. With that being said, you can turn the distributor. That's the whole point of this. So you're going to turn your distributor until it matches this number. It's very important. I'm saying it a bunch of different ways for you guys so that you all understand, because this is probably one of the most confusing parts. All it does is verify that the timing on the computer matches the timing on the car. That's all you're doing. So pick a number. This doesn't mean that it's going to idle at 20 degrees of timing or 14 or whatever you set it at. Pick a number, go under the hood, and check it. Okay, once you're done, click burn. And then you're going to go back once everything matches up and you're going to click use table. You have to do that because now what it's doing is reading all of these numbers that are preset in here in your computer. It's no longer reading that one number that you put in. It's reading all of these as it goes through the RPMs and everything else. So this is your timing, and as you can see, mine is pretty much locked in for the most part. It's got 10 degrees here. Just makes the car sound a little better, to be honest with you. That's the only reason it's that low. And you're going to have to play around with these numbers and get it the way you want to down in your idle circuit. You can also lock in your idle, meaning if it idles in this cell right here, go ahead and add a couple degrees over here to the left in case it starts to fall off on idle. Timing will also idle the car up, so it'll force it back. Over here, that's such a big jump from 1100 to 1400. I'm not too worried about it, guys. But typically what you would do if it was a really close number like 12 or 1300, what you would do would be take away a number over here. the car starts to idle up a little bit, this lower timing number would force it back. So what you want to do is make sure that your timing is forcing everything back into this middle cell. You add a little timing over here, take away a little timing right here. And you only would probably do this in a section about that big. That's it. Don't get over here trying to do it, or way up here, or way down here. That's irrelevant. In a section about like this, you can really kind of play with your timing. Now, the reason why I'm not is look down here. There's such a big gap between the way I have the RPM set. I don't want my timing super low at 1400 RPM. But if I were to change this, and yes, you can change it to say 1200, this thing's going to bounce around in between these a lot. Even though it may not see 1200 RPM, it starts to interpolate, meaning as it gets up to 1100 or a little above, it starts to read a little bit into these cells right here. So you're going to want to make sure that you've got everything set correctly. On this, I would not go so low on these numbers. If I had it set at 1200 down here, I would probably set my timing somewhere around 16 or so, and then drop this number down to like 15. All right, guys, so real quick, I want to cover something with you that I forgot to cover before, and that's going to be your air-fuel ratio, so your AFR table. Your car cannot help you out as far as tuning if these numbers aren't correct. If you're running NA, naturally aspirated, the tune that you load into Tuner Studio is probably going to be fine for you. You have to be careful, though, if you get into boost. You have to add more KPA up here, and you also have to adjust this to the way you want it to be. Mine is somewhere in the 11s. You're going to have to do yours the same. So make sure you go in here and verify that your AFR is where you want it to be in here before you rely on auto-tune. Auto-tune uses these numbers to help tune your car. So I just wanted to go ahead and add that little bit of information in for you guys. You're also going to spend a lot of time over here in your startup idle tab. So what you're going to do is start working your way down. I didn't honestly change hardly any of these settings. So you're going to spend some time down here in idle control. Guys, it took me forever to figure out that 440 Hertz was the number that I needed to use for my idle air control. So this is your idle air control panel, I guess you could call it right here. So you guys are more than welcome to copy these and see if they'll work for you. As you change this, will drastically affect your idle air control. It may hang on you, it may idle low, it may idle high. So just be careful with that, and but you're more than welcome to try mine. Up here, we have idle cranking and duty. You probably won't have to change this right now, but if you do, this is your coolant section over here. So this is your coolant temperature, and this is how much duty cycle is commanded of your idle air control right here. You're going to have to do a test to figure out where yours likes it the most. But for me, these numbers seem to work pretty good. You're more than welcome to try them, but they might not work for you. So that's what the duty cycle is. So at 44 degrees right here, it's going to command 65% duty cycle. So that's what that is, guys. Don't focus too much on that. You're going to have to play around with it yourself. And up here, this is very important. So this is what's going to really kind of hone in your idle for you right here. So what this is your RPM across the top at what coolant temperature. So if you look right here at 41 degrees, mine's 1100. 77 degrees, 1100. So mine starts to really drop over here at about 100 degrees to 110 degrees. Once the engine gets up that warm, I like to go ahead and start lowering my idle down. Now this does not mean that this is going to hold your car at 900 RPM rock solid. That's not what this is. What this is telling the computer that this is the RPM you would like to see right here. So it will make some changes to help you out, but this particular screen right here is not going to hold your car at that idle for you. There are other factors, but I will show you in just a second what this affects. So set your idle number at whatever you want to. That's fine. As you can see there, you can try these numbers if you'd like on yours. So click burn, close. Now what that does is affect this, idle adaptive advanced timing. Okay. So remember, we set basically our target idle at like 900 RPM. So let's say this thing starts to dip down to 800 RPM, right? Well, what the computer is going to do is add 5 degrees of timing to try to bend it back over, to try to push it back to this 900 mark right here. I know it doesn't say 900, guys. I know it says 0, but trust me, the 0 right here is your commanded RPM. If the idle starts to raise and get up around 200 or so, it's going to pull 4 degrees of timing. So all of these numbers can be changed. You're going to have to get in here and play around with this yourself. You can set this to minus 50. So at 50 RPM, it's going to try to add 5 degrees of timing. You know, my point is, You can do a bunch of different things. And these numbers really don't matter as much as you think. You can go to like 150 right here. That's fine. So just remember though, when you're setting this up, if it's negative RPM down here at the bottom, it's going to be positive timing at the top. If it's negative timing at the top, then it's going to be positive RPM at the bottom. So just remember that, guys. That will help you out a lot. So let's go over here real quick to VE Analyzer, because I know this is what everybody wants to see. You're going to have to pay for Tuner Studio to get this. You're not going to be able to open it otherwise. So that's why I advise go ahead and pay for it. Once you get this thing opened up, what it's going to do is, this is your VE table over here. So what I do is I go in and I set this to easy or very easy when I first start out over here. And then once you get that set, now once you drive the car a few times and it starts making some good changes, I would set it back to normal, and that should be fine for you guys. But initially, very easy or easy will be fine. Okay, one of the things that I like to do here is come down once you get your idle set. Let's say you've got your idle in the car pretty good and you've worked really hard on it and you don't want it messed up. Come over here to minimum RPM. Click this minimum RPM and tell it what RPM range to stay out of. You've got this thing tuned at 1,000 and back really good, right? Down here. So let's tell this thing, don't tune anything below 1,000 RPM. Okay? And that way it'll stay out of these numbers and it won't mess with any of these numbers down here for you. It'll just tune your driving and your top end up here. Start auto tune. Let it do its thing. Make some really long pulls so that it gets up into these areas right here. Make some really short stabs. Try to highlight as many of these numbers as possible in here as you drive your car around. Glance down at the computer every once in a while. Get somebody to help you and make sure you're covering all this territory as much as possible, and that'll help tune the car really good for you. Warm-up enrichment is a really good one also. So while you're in the analyzer here in auto tune, you can click warm-up enrichment and start your car from a cold start and click start auto tune, and this will help tune your warm-up enrichment. It'll tell the car how much fuel needs to be dumped in open loop and startup. So this is really helpful here. So you can use that, and just remember to click apply and save the ECU on both of these whenever you're done. Same thing over here. Once you're done with this, apply, save the ECU. So let's say you have a boosted car and you want to get these numbers up, right? Because most of the time you won't see any of these numbers over here. Whenever you first load this tune in, it's only going to go up to 100 like this is. What you have to do is get in here and manually change these numbers. So I'll give you an example right here. Let's say I wanted to change this 100. Click it, and then you can change it to 150. So as you can see, you can really mess some stuff up, right? Because now our KPA is completely off. So you got to be careful at what you do there. But you can go in and make changes on this. If you're boosted, you're going to have to add KPA like I did right here. You're going to have to do that. That's a whole nother video, guys. I'm not really going to get into doing that. But what I will do is show you guys right here. This is a reference for KPA, okay? Tuner Studio reads in KPA. So this is what I use. What I do is I go to Holly Forums right here, type in KPA boost, and once you type that in, and you will see this. So there's plenty of things out there for you to help you. But let's say you're running 10 pounds of boost and you need to know how much KPA to add on the side. Here you go. There it is, guys. 171 KPA is 10 pounds of boost. When you do that, I would absolutely go over here to about 13 pounds. I'd go to about 13 pounds and add 191 up top. Okay, that's what I would do. That way, if the car makes a couple extra pounds of boost, you have a safety net. So anyway, look that up. Let's get back over here to Tuner Studio. This is a really long video. I'm trying to go through it as fast as possible, guys. I do apologize. 210 is my safety net. My car only makes boost into these cells right here. That's as high as my car makes boost. So up here, I went ahead and put 210. That's a safety net, guys. If my car makes a little extra boost, there's no timing up here hardly. I took a lot of timing out, and as you can see, I added a lot of fuel. So we're up here at 113 on this. So this thing will get pig rich if it jumps up here and tries to make some extra boost. Whew. All right, guys, I'm sorry. I tried to make this video as short as possible. I know we left out a lot of information. Sorry, I know I've just kind of blew through everything, but there's a lot of information to be covered, and I didn't want this to be a 25-minute long video, me trying to show you the basics and the in and outs of Tuner Studio. There again, remember guys, I am by no means a professional tuner. Most of the stuff I'm showing you won't hurt your car. Just please remember, Do not try to copy my timing tables and my VE tables because they are set up for my car with boost. You may make more boost, and if you use the timing numbers I use, it can mess your car up. You may have different injectors. My numbers are going to be completely off from yours. I know it's tempting sometimes to use somebody else's numbers, but just don't do it. You could really mess your car up. Anyway, if you guys would like to see more videos like this, down below, let me know. Would you like to see me actually tune one of these cars from scratch? Meaning get the base tune and then tune it for you guys to get it running. Now, obviously, it's not going to be a custom dyno tune, but to get the car running and get it safe. If you guys would like to see something like that, comment down below. Maybe I can pull that off for you. There's a lot of you guys know a lot more about this than me. Get down in the comment section. Help answer some questions if you don't mind, because like I said, I know there's a lot of stuff I left out. Anyway, with that being said, we're going to go ahead and wrap this video up. And as always, thanks for watching.